Good morning, everyone. We're just waiting for everyone to come in and then we'll get started. So I'd like to welcome you to our weekly town hall this morning down here in North Carolina. It's a beautiful sunny day. I hope it is where you are. I'd like to give you a couple of announcements. This next Saturday begins our monthly masterclass. This first one is 5 precious endowments embodying the innate great perfection. They'll be once a month for 8 weeks. And I want to remind you that you can sign up for an individual class, or there's a little bit of a discount if you sign up for all 8 of the classes coming up. Also, if you've been on our weekly town halls and you'd like to deepen your practice a little bit, I'd like to encourage you to attend our day-long retreat on October 2nd. You can find all that information on our website, which Kelly is going to put in the chat for you. It goes from 9 to 4, and that's clear light meditation, awakening the inner radiance. So please feel free to sign up for that. We'd love to have you there. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly now, who's going to say a few words. And then our guest teacher this morning is Timo, broadcasting live from far away. As you can see, it's the middle of the night where he is. So anyway, thanks for being here today, folks.
Thanks, Mima. And pardon me while I multitask as I admit people into the waiting room, copy into the chat, and have a moment to talk about Donna. So, good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you all. I was asked to do the Donna talk today, and it's one of those things that every time we talk about Donna, I immediately am transported back to being 15 years old in the Catholic Church I grew up in, and having the bowl be passed around. And over time, which was super triggering to me as a child who had no money and felt really guilty about not being able to give money at the time. I've since worked through all of that, but what it brings up for me is now is the ability to sort of reframe what Donna really is. And there's so many different ways to talk about it. You know, so Donna is part of the first paramita, and it's translated in many different ways. The generosity, it's translated to generosity, it's translated into giving. And one of the ways that I've most connected to the idea of Donna is the wisdom of letting go. It's the wisdom of an open heart, the wisdom of open arms, the wisdom of an open mind. And so when I think of Donna these days, I think about it as wisdom of openness and letting go. And that could be letting go of time, that could be letting go of money, that can be letting go of attachments. And so anytime I start to feel a resistance to letting go of something, I try to drop into the feeling that's behind the resistance of letting go. And I try to really sit with, what would it mean if I just sat here for a minute and opened my heart a little more? If I opened my arms a little more? If I opened my mind to the ideas that are coming at me? And obviously, when we talk about Donna in the context of the Dzogchen Foundation in this moment in time, right? So there's all different ways we talk about Dana here, but in this moment in time, what we're talking about is giving of energy and of giving of a financial support to the foundation and to supporting the Lama's teachings. You know, I often, I think about the fact that we have this beautiful Eastern practice, that when it was, and when it's alive and well in the East, there's a very different support system for the teachers. There's a very different support system for the Lamas and the Rinpoches and anyone who's dedicated their lives to the Dharma. And that support system means they have shelter, they have food, they have all of their worldly needs taken care of. And for the teachers who've decided to bring that to the West, we don't have that system here. We don't have a system here because it's not ingrained in our culture where the Dharma teachers in this country are supported financially. And so one of the ways in which we can continue the teachings and allow our dear teacher, Lama Surya Das, to continue to do what he's done for us now for almost 40 years, is to give and to let go and to open our hearts to allow the teachings to continue for both for us as well as for all those around us, so that our Lama doesn't have to worry about how is he going to eat, how is he going to pay his rent, how is the foundation going to continue to sustain itself. And so like we do almost every week, what I ask you to consider is how can you open a little more? And by the way, that opening might mean $5. This is not, there's no expectation of what giving means. It's all relative to yourself. So I ask you to think about, from an energy exchange, what the Dharma has given to you, what Lama has given to you, and what are some ways in which you feel like you can give back in order to be part of this sort of beautiful, open-hearted wisdom tradition where we're all here for each other, and that also includes our dear Lama. So there's a link in the chat. There'll be a link in the chat in 1 second as I paste it in. And again, you know, one of the ways that you can donate through the link. You can become a member. The membership also gives you access to additional teachings. It gives you access to some of our advanced retreats. So there's, if you go to the website, I'll paste that in there. There's all different kinds of benefits of membership, but mostly just really drop into how can you live in an open way with an open heart, and what does that mean for you? So thank you. And we're lucky to have the beautiful light spirit of Timo Spekkens here with us today, my dear Dharma brother, and looking forward to his presence and his teaching and his open, beautiful heart as always. So thank you, Timo.
Thank you, dear Kelly. Thank you, Minla. Hi, everyone. I see so many faces I know. Hi. And yes, indeed, it's still dark here. The windows behind me are dark. So, and I'm in Hawaii, where it's 5 a.m. I hope it doesn't show. And also, it's really beautiful to be with you. So don't be looking at my big sleepy head. But if you go up to view, maybe go to gallery view and sit in a circle, meditate together and recognize the Sangha around you, the loving Sangha, realizing all that sweet intent, just stepping out of autopilot. We often notice, you know, the ordinary mind's need for more information. Will this information bring me liberation? And the longing from the heart for love. And then in these beautiful practices that the Lama brings to us, we come to realize that all that fullness is already within us, right? We open up to the openness of being and the luminous, beautiful presence, all the love and information and wisdom already present within us. So, often when we at Dharma talks, we go like, oh, that is so beautiful. Just that recognition of beauty is the sympathetic resonance of our own wisdom, right? So please don't doubt the incredible beauty and depth of the Buddha in the world on your seat. So indeed, as comes from this lineage and from the Lama, Lama often says better a bunch of shorties than a longie. So I'm a great proponent of shorties. So I might say a few more things, and don't just sit there waiting for the meditation to start. This is the habituation of our lives becoming the meditation. So mixing practices, starting with easy things, staying in the view, staying present. So once again, not waiting to be present. Maybe if you wish, take a beautiful breath with me. And with your mouth open, let go. So just realizing that the Buddha has come in the world for the mere joy of being. And when recognizing their true essence, the joy expresses itself as love and compassion without preference. So then there is the first illusory step into samsara, which feels like I am. Like a little bit, it's like the first I taking ownership of this present moment. So what do we mean when we say I am? What do we mean when we just say I awareness, I beingness, I, the presence of awareness. And then what is this am part? Maybe that's I acknowledge the recognition of the knowing of my being. And then I am, and the I that I am knows that I am. So yes, as Sochen practitioners, we end up dropping that I and being just pure beingness. But, for being the joy of being, it's perfectly okay to realize the beautiful playfulness of the Buddha's I amness in the world. But we will practice the actual experience of the boundlessness of being and maybe play with some letting go-ness of different layers into a more openness. And in that, realizing an open, boundless mind and heart, and in that boundlessness and spaciousness, all minds interconnected, or as the Lama calls it so beautifully, interbeingness. So feel that maybe for now, before we take that huge step, on behalf of all beings, maybe just these beings around you in the Zoom room and being interconnected. And all these practices is something we can do from the very beginning. A mind that is boundless and luminous. And often this use of luminosity in Sochen is often called the clear light mind. The light of consciousness experienced as the cognitive capacity. And just notice that, like in the Mahamudra, pointing out instruction between two thoughts. It's not just an abyss of nothingness, right? There is a shimmering quality of presence. So let's take another beautiful breath together and notice our beingness. So then the clear light mind shines the light of knowing on all things. The clear light mind shines the light of consciousness on all experience. The clear light mind that shines the light of knowing on itself joyously and recognizes its own awareness. So here indeed, we practice the continuity of the knowing of being deliberately, lovingly. And just by resting in that openness, all by itself, as itself, from within itself, there is, maybe over time a little bit too, but there's a diminishing of negative mind states and a blossoming of positive mind states. So we don't want to disconnect the spontaneous luminous presence from an experience of wide openness, the spacious freedom of the boundless Buddha mind on your seat. So notice that openness and the luminous presence. And maybe in that sphere of presence, thoughts arise and dissipate and arise and dissipate. This is not a practice of suppressing thought. This is the practice of not allowing thoughts to grab us. Because often we mistake this mosaic of thoughts, feelings and perceptions, which we try to call I, for our true identity. When these mind's movements dissolve or vanish, we do not vanish. We are still here. All these temporary mind fluctuations come and go, yet pure beingness and knowing as the presence of awareness is ever present in the background of experience. Or the all-pervadingness or boundlessness of pure being saturates the field of experience. So once we recognize that and we sit in that, it maybe is felt as peace and love. Peace and love actually pervading our beingness at all times. So, wow, really? Love and peace are my true essence? Or simply our truth as a birthright? So then, the answers of who we are, what our truth really is not something we can figure out. It's only something we can be. And then we become the truth and become the answer. In the process of understanding and deeply sensing who and what we are, we encounter a lot of stories. And it's very important to dissolve or let go of incorrect narrative, or any narrative really, that we have acquired about ourselves. But with this practice of paying attention deeply to our truest and deepest essence, by resting again in the knowing of our being, or the knowing of simply being, or resting in our true nature, knowingly, over time there is a blossoming in which our understanding goes deeper than the intellectual level and takes a seat in the heart. We could call this the embodiment of the all good. And to experience that softness, that sweetness, we do not have to resolve all our inner and outer difficulties first. Right? We can feel that tingle in our hearts, that basically that longing for happiness. All beings longing for happiness. All of us coming together for the longing of happiness right now. And that's not a greedy longing, it's a beautiful longing. And then indeed, when the Buddha becomes more and more awakened, it's the longing for the happiness of all beings. So notice that longing. It's really sweet and beautiful. So this coming home to our truth. I read that Nietzsche said that you could tell a lot about the strength of a person's spirit by measuring how much truth they could tolerate. Tolerate, I mean, if we can tolerate the unending sphere of loving beingness without any problems. A whole universe arising in this openness. And yeah, there are so many things said about the truth. No one comes to the Father except through the truth. We've heard that in some traditions. We won't be able to manifest who we truly are without the truth. So we realize indeed the truth sets us free. And we realized it, as all these yogis here in this room, we all realize that. We have noticed the freedom within, and we come together. And something happens in the Sangha, the second returning of the Buddha, or the third from the Tibetan perspective, would be, the Sangha is the Buddha. Here we are, the collective Buddha. But in that process of becoming returning to our truth, it destroys everything that isn't originating from our true essence. The wisdom of tending to beingness knowingly within us might set us free, but yet that is a process of deathing, or an all-consuming letting go-ness, an experience of burning away a lot of mostly self-serving hopes and dreams. And that's part of the yogi when we experience turmoil. It is said that if we don't experience turmoil, we're not really doing our practice right. But therefore we are in a Sangha. When we experience that existential turmoil of maybe a dissolving self, we have each other as the family, the loving family. This is what happens to us when we become serious about our practice. And this practice really helps us understand what peace and joy is, and to awaken more and more to subtle layers of dissatisfaction. This practice, a way of seeking truth, this deep need to understand. It activates this longing to no longer deceive ourselves, not to rationalize delusion any longer, and come to realize that this sense of ego is only based on a sense of struggle and lack. Mostly lack. So, back to shorties. Would you take another breath with me into presence? And recognize your presence. Back to deliberate knowing of beingness. And then in gratitude for a long lineage of wisdom and compassion, please bless us that we may come to recognize the nature of mind, the natural state. How beautiful is that prayer? Thank you, Lama, for bringing us that prayer. All these prayers. In the Metta Sutra, Buddha said that loving kindness is the greatest protection. And compassion comes from the Latin word compati, which literally means suffering with. Okay, that's overdoing it a little, but opening our arms and hearts for all those around us that are having a difficult experience. And this decision you made to come and be with us is inspired by compassion. So thank you. So being the presence of awareness knowingly equals love. And then we don't have to know someone very well to appreciate their goodness. So once again, look around in this room, or at least sense around in this interconnected room, all far apart, yet one heart. And ultimately, we don't even have to know them at all, or even like them, to know their goodness. Just simply appreciating the goodness in this Sangha, right here, right now, online. This loving kindness classroom. May you all be happy. May you all be peaceful. May you all be safe. That's our practice. Isn't that all the Dalai Lama says all the time? May you all be peaceful and safe, loving, happy. Our hearts have the capacity and long to express love, like I said, in a very playful way. But we often let fear get in the way of our playful hearts. So when researchers look into the creativity of children, they all end up rating as genius. Yet at every grade level later, there is a diminishing of their creativity. We literally school the spontaneity, the playfulness, and indeed the creativity right out of our children. Although that wouldn't be a completely correct statement. Our spontaneous creativity or boundless innovation, our unimaginable, sweet-hearted resourcefulness are just veiled by the conditioned egoic patterns. These unending spoon-fed stories of who we are not. So we tend more effectively to the ever-moving production lines. So here we practice the allowing of innate, primordial, creative openness coming back home to our creativity to facilitate the universal creative cosmic database or the boundless wholeness or the Buddha mind to inform our lives. And the skillful means of the awakened Buddha in the world on your seat. We come to realize our ultimate purpose, which is our awakening for the benefit of the awakening of all beings. As Lama Roger would say, perhaps the highest and most profound aspiration the human mind has ever conceived. And we develop something maybe we could call heart sight, referencing our boundless heart whenever someone enters our realm. And the only thing our heart wishes in that moment of openness, what may I be for you? So right there, let's take another breath. And mouth open. Notice when you exhale with your mouth open, there is already an ah sounding. The beautiful, easiest mantra, as Lama Surya calls it. Just right there in our breath and energy. So Kelly, can we have the prayer book open on, I didn't prepare with page numbers. Let's just sing Om Ahung together, which is, I know, page 1. And realizing that the primordial wisdom sounds. Om for natural body. Ah for natural breath and energy. And Hung, emphasizing Hung, natural heart and mind, awakening heart and mind. And then maybe if chanting is not your thing, maybe kind of grunt along a bit and habituate speaking from a loving heart. Om Ahung Benzar Guru Be My Siddhi Hung. 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 Om Ahung Benzar Guru Be mai Suri Hung. Om Ahung Ben Zargu Pe mai Suri Hung. Om Ahung Ben Zargu Pe mai Suri Hung. Sounding straight from awakened awareness. Om Ahung Ben Zargu Pe mai Suri Hung. Om Ahum Ben Zargu Pe Mahai Suri Hum. Om Ahum Ben Zargu Pe Mahai Suri Hum. Om Ahum Ben Zargu Pe Mahai Suri Hum. Touching all hearts with your voice of all beings. Om Ahung Ben Zargu Pe Mai Suri Hung. 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 Softly, lovingly, gently. Om Ahung Ben Zargu Pe mai Suri Hung. 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 One more time with just our hearts. Letting the sound dissolve into the same space where our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and perceptions arise and dissolve, arise and dissolve. The beautiful playfulness of the Buddha heart and mind. The same space in which a life arises and dissolves. Whole universe arises and dissolves. So let's take another breath together if you wish. Let go. Let go of all egoic patterns, any meditation patterns, just completely fresh. A unique playfulness of the yogi on your seat. So not attending to anything, just resting attention, not sending attention out to any object, may it be inner or outer. When attention rests into its own origin, it comes home into its space of awareness. Just being aware of being aware. The space of ever healing. yet not concerned with some distraction, grateful for all movement, because this movement of a thought or a feeling provides us with the opportunity to return to presence. It's in that movement of returning where a lot of healing happens. It's not called distraction, it's called playfulness. Just a sign of the beautiful creativity of your mind that it wishes to shimmer a bit. But now just notice the spaciousness of awareness of your Buddha heart, not so heady. Just notice the seat of compassion and the origin of, if it had a location, that would be the heart. So awareing right from the heart. And not confined, not within our anatomy, just kind of flow out like a sphere of awareness, 360 degrees, shimmering presence. So it's a relaxing or falling back of the mind within itself and then boundlessly out. Not paying attention to the present moment, but being the present moment. Realizing our only true refuge, our own hearts and minds. Just falling back into the arms of Mother Awareness, heart to heart. Welcome home. as Lama Surya says, an awareness or a beingness that is all pervading. So don't allow any limiting beliefs to get in the way of the boundlessness of your heart and mind. So literally let awareness arise from the heart and flow out and saturate the space around with knowing space, the knowing of being. Just fill the whole room around or beyond with that sweet aha, the recognition of my true essence, of beingness. Notice that the space all around has a intelligence, an intentionality. Just brilliantly awakened awareness with all the cells activated, every cell an expression of the whole. And then maybe allowing the boundless wholeness to be the object of awareness. Just burst out of any space. There's only one space in the universe. And where can you be where we are not? Just open up to all and everything. That spaciousness of mind is the space we share. Automatic interbeingness. Yet we as yogis experience our interbeingness. Just embrace each other in your loving presence. Wake up wherever you are. Realizing the all at onceness, not slaying the ego, just allowing everything that we are to be embraced in our sphere of being. Maybe to practice not to fall asleep within our own competence. We can maybe do some deliberate mind wandering. Maybe in that open spaciousness, really let arise what it feels like to be you. Don't particularize, more that whole mosaic of thoughts, not one, but just the all at onceness of every thought you ever had and will have, and what your body feels like and your heart. Kaleidoscope of emotions, all at onceness. Even that little bit of a tendency for a story to wish to come up. Just relax the story, feel the beauty of being in all realms of existence. Meticulous wisdom daydreaming, creative pensiveness. Not always pushing all those thoughts away. Maybe noticing that over time from this practice, when thoughts come from the Buddha mind, the awakened awareness, they always carry the message of awakening and compassion. So easy to discern. So let's take one more collective breath together and synchronize and let go of any creativity. Just return to open spaciousness, habituating, moving from the ordinary mind into open awareness over and over. It's what we do, what we be. Realization, not a destination, but yet in that flow of realization, love blossoms. The evolution or maturation of our realization would have to include love. Love will manifest as the purest way awareness expresses itself in a human life. Wholeness causes wholeness. Goodness precipitates goodness. Just sitting here, being illumined with love, no matter what it feels like. I feel I'm here because love is here, appearing as presence, as the very beingness of my consciousness knowingly. And in that openness, my heart feels like the shimmer of rainbows on a sparkling day. And then, as always, on behalf of all beings, thank you for your beautiful practice. And Kelly, I don't know page numbers, but can we have like the dedications towards the end? Kevadiyi. Thank you. Kevadiyi nyurdudak, zokpachempo drupgyurnye, dorachikyang malupa, de sala goparshuk. Through this virtue, may we swiftly realize and fully embody the natural great perfection, and that will bring all, without exception, to its complete realization. And yes, bodhicitta. Jangchup semchok rinpoche, makepanam kegyurchik, kepanyam par miparyang, gongne gongdu pelvar shuk. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And the new Millennium Prayer, please. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may they be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world, an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, droughts, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May all be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety and insecurity. May we better prepare ourselves for the natural calamities that beset us all, and may we all together complete the spiritual journey, one beloved community, one circle, one family, all the way home, happy. Thank you, Lama Surya, for your beautiful prayers. Thank you all. I don't know, there are still 5 minutes, so if anybody wishes to express something they experienced in their practice or want to ask something, whatever you wish, or be quiet.
You can send questions to me in the chat.
So that once taught me, when you ask for some participation, you wait a whole minute before you fill the space with movements. I didn't do so well.
About 30 seconds in there.
So when awareness is not so personal, you know. Only the addition of my awareness makes it so. So then also thoughts without the of my thoughts are liberated into their own empty space of meaning. And by releasing the my in myself, what self would remain? And when we release the grip on my thoughts, whose thoughts are there anyway? Lama Surya says that a lot. Whose thoughts are there anyway? And taking away the my in my suffering, whose suffering is it? And taking away the my in my life and death, who was ever born, who ever died? And taking away the my in my love, wouldn't that leave more than enough love for everyone? I guess that was some answer to some question I had in my heart.
Timo, we have one question. Rita asks, how do we have hope for the future without abandoning being in the present moment?
There was a little note. How do we have hope?
How do we manage having hope for the future without abandoning being in the present moment?
By abandoning hope too. You know, hope is a little bit of a beggar. I mean, we just transcend hope, because once we really come home to our true essence, there is nothing to hope for anymore, because we already have arrived in that which we wish to be. But I understand your question. I mean, to give it such an absolute answer again, yes, sometimes that's what happens in the middle of our practice. You know, we kind of lose hope a little bit, and we lose sight on what it really is. But that in those moments, we are not really in our practice, right? As soon as we go into hope, that means we are admitting to a sense of lack. So we just want to awake to the fullness of our beingness and just keep coming from there. But yes, in this difficult world, we sometimes lose track of hope. And then when hope kind of diminishes, or when we don't notice that wish for happiness for all beings, because that kind of diminishes maybe too, then we just return to presence and let that inform our skillful actions, and don't doubt for a moment the incredible boundlessness of your capacity and the concentric circles of compassion and wisdom emitting from you once you don't get stuck in just hope and transcend it by trusting in the capacity of your beautiful Buddha mind. Something like that.
Timo, before we end here, do you want to share about your sitting group? Vicky was kind enough to put information in the chat, but maybe just do a shout out for yourself, your group.
Sure, great. So we have a meditation group every morning online, 11 a.m. Eastern time and 8 a.m. Pacific time and 5 a.m. Hawaiian time. And so we'll be there tomorrow morning. If you wish to join, there is a link, or you can find us by maybe Googling something. And every morning, yes, except for Sunday when Lama is here. And thank you so much for coming.
Tuesdays.
And us. Oh, Tuesday. Thank you, Vicky. Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. in Pacific time, so that will be 10. Some people are zooming in at 10 p.m. in the evening from the East Coast, so come and join us. We have a good time, don't we, Sparky?
Yes, we have a great time. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope to see you again next time. Don't forget about Masterclass on Saturday if you can join us. Have a wonderful weekend, the rest of your weekend, and a wonderful day. Thank you, Timo. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank
See
you,
you all
everyone.
soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, Timo.
Bye, Timo. Bye.